All right, everybody, welcome to the Then and Now Around the Boxing World with myself, Hayden Jones, and I'm joined by former professional boxer Jade as well. Firstly, we got a very exciting fight to talk about, which is Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier. We're going to talk about all the fights.
Let's go. Yeah. So, Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier. So, as anybody who was a fan of classic boxing would know, they fought 3 times. Muhammad Ali coming to the first fight, Muhammad Ali obviously had the whole Cassius Clay thing about when he was supposed to be sent to war and he didn't want to go to war and he didn't want to join the military and things like that. So he made a comeback. He had on his comeback he did have two fights prior to the Joe Frazier fight, and then he had the Joe Frazier fight, and his third fight back was his third fight as Muhammad Ali when he changed his name from Cassius Clay. So it was very controversial and stuff like that. Like there was a lot going on around the world, around Muhammad Ali's career, around everything. Like people didn't want him to fight because of the whole didn't go to the army thing, things like that. It was a time where the military was a big thing in the US and stuff. Joe Frazier was only up and coming. He was still very young. He was said to be the most dangerous puncher in boxing history at that time. And Muhammad Ali was actually, how the fight came about is Muhammad Ali was actually watching his fights, watching one of his fights. I think it was when he fought George Foreman. And then Ali said, "Look, I see flaws in his game, and I think I can actually beat him." Then they fought,
so I mean, at that point, right? So Muhammad Ali was looking at him, but so was Frazier at the same time was looking at him. Both former Olympic gold medalists as well. I mean, exactly. that fight was bound to happen at some point.
100%, it had to happen. See what was nice about boxing back then is the best always fought the best. Nobody ever ran or was hiding or my career is taking a different path to your career or anything. It was, I'm the best, you're the best, let's fight. And that's how it was. So literally the best always fought the best. So that's what made boxing exciting back then. And coming into the fight, Muhammad Ali was obviously a big favorite because of his career. He was undefeated at the time coming into the fight. He's undefeated, never drawn, never lost. So, and then Frazier went and beat him on a points decision. Ali thought he got robbed. He was very unhappy with the fight. That's obviously why the rematch happened. And coming up to the rematch, again,
the rematch happened it happened quite a while afterwards. I mean, there was a lot of fights in between.
Exactly, yeah. I think Ali had 7 or 8 fights before fighting Frazier again. And then fighting the second time, Ali beat Frazier on points. And then Frazier thought he got robbed. So he called for the rematch again. So,
I love that, though. I love that. 3 fights. I mean, the 3 fights that they had in their career, you don't, like you said earlier, you don't get the best fighting the best anymore, which is sad. So it's so cool to recall these days where the best fought the best. People were piling into the streets saying, no, they must fight again. There was political agendas. Like boxing was so big.
It was huge back then. I wish boxing could be like that again, man. It was unreal. And even if you look at the atmospheres and how they filled stadiums, they were having between 80,000 and 100,000 people at a stadium to watch a fight. Man, it was crazy. Now we're lucky to get 1,000 or 2,000 people to a fight. Do you know what I mean? I know the big shows in the UK and stuff, they get up to 45,000 to 70,000 people. But it's still even that the atmosphere is not the same as what it used to be with the likes of Ali Frazier. And I mean, even in their rematch, so their first fight was a 15-rounder when Frazier won. The rematch was only a 12-rounder when Ali won. So I think that's why Frazier felt he got robbed, because if he felt, look, it was 3 rounds. If it was 3 rounds more, I could have beat him. And then we came up to the third fight, and I think they were both just really annoyed. And by now, the third fight, it was like a grudge match, kind of. There was no friendship there. If you look at the press conferences and things like that, the press conferences always had to be broken up by security. Don King was there smiling and waving his flags. You know, Don King loves drama. And then coming up to the third fight, it was a close fight. The whole fight.
Thriller in Manila. That's the one. The famous Thriller in Manila.
Exactly, yeah. And do you know, it was an exciting fight. The whole fight, the whole Thriller in Manila, it was an exciting fight I'd say through about the first 10 rounds. It was very close. You couldn't call a winner. And then from about round 11, 12, Ali started edging it. And coming into round 14, Ali was just too strong for Frazier back then, and he caused Frazier to retire. So Frazier still was an injury, but if you look back at the fight, he was hurt. From round 13, he was hurt already. So going into round 14, Ali just finished him off and was just it was just a great fight to watch. It was probably one of the best trilogies in boxing history to date. So,
you know what made it so much better was there was actual genuine hate between these two guys. It wasn't like a business negotiation where they were like, okay, let's get people excited and then like hug each other afterwards. No, these guys hated each other after 1, 2, and 3. Even to this day, like past the fights, they never ever liked each other.
Never. Even if you look at how the first 2 fights ended, it ended with thousands of people getting in the ring, having to break them up, because even after the bell, they still wanted to go at it, still wanted to hit each other. So like even coaching teams and things were getting involved, trying to throw punches and things. It was just crazy. Like it had to be broken up by security. I think I was watching. I think it was the first fight, the first or the second fight. I'm not 100% sure, but I was watching a rerun of it, and you actually see how straight after the fight, there's easily about, I don't want to over exaggerate, but there's easily about 50 people that jump in the ring just to break it up so that they don't fight. It is crazy. And then, as you say, even after the third fight, there was no like, oh look, we just made history. It's something that will never happen again.
Well, looking at the, oh, sorry, Karen, sorry.
No, yeah, because like even if you look at like the fights of today, like Tyson Fury and Wilder, that trilogy doesn't even live up to half of the hype of the Ali Frazier.
No, can you imagine that? I mean, Ali's whole career, we know how charismatic he is. I mean, people use Muhammad Ali quotes to this day, and you know, he obviously was more than just a boxer. Muhammad Ali was what is known as the greatest boxer of all time in his version of events. I know, and still a lot of people consider him to be the greatest of all time. But Joe Frazier is also up there, and they had very close battles as well. So I mean, how could you not add Joe Frazier to that conversation as well?
100%. Yeah, look, Joe Frazier was and will always go down in history as being one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Smoking Joe Frazier, and the reason they call him smoking was he just smoked people out. Like he'd knock people out. I think he was like a Mike Tyson. If you look at his career stats, he had loads of knockout. I think he's got like a 70-80% knockout ratio. So he had loads of knockouts. And then if you look at the likes of like George Foreman coming up in his career, early days, I mean, he was also he was said to be one of the hardest punchers in boxing history until the great Iron Mike. So yeah, look, it was always very exciting. But what I loved about it is that Ali knew that even though Frazier had all this power, if he just used his quick feet and his quick head movements and his quick punching and everything like that, he could outbox Frazier, and that's exactly what he did. Because even in the third fight when Frazier retired, Ali never hurt him because of power. Ali hurt him because of speed. If you just look at the punches.
So they obviously had totally different fighting styles. They had totally different personalities. You know, looking back, if you were put in that era and you were like a spectator in that era, I mean, who would you have probably cheered for? That's an interesting question because they obviously fought for two different reasons.
Yeah, look, if I look at how I fight or how I used to fight when I was fighting, I always wanted power and I always wanted to knock out. So I probably would have, even though Ali was one of the best, I probably would have been shouting for Frazier because I always back a power puncher. But after the second fight, if I had to face facts, and as you know, like whenever I'm calling fights, I don't call it on who my favorite fighter is. I call it on, how can I say, facts. So if I had to face facts going into the third fight, I would have 110% backed Ali, but Ali by points. Because if you look at Ali, whenever he was against the ropes, like he'd be against the ropes and you'd be power punching him, and then you'd come back with like a combination of 6, 7, 8 shots before you could even think he even hit you.
But I mean, in saying that, I mean, a lot of people would have predicted that Muhammad Ali would have won the first fight.
I think a lot of people did, and I also think that's probably why. Exactly, like that's probably why Ali probably thought he won the fight, and that's probably why the rematch. Because again, Joe Frazier was more a power puncher than a speed or point puncher. Joe Frazier was the kind of guy that he wanted to win by knockout. He didn't want to win by points. So usually 9 times out of 10, if it was coming down to points, he'd be a loser. Do you know what I mean? But he'd never leave it in the judge's hands. So when you think of things like that, that's why Ali, going into the first fight, Ali would have been a favorite because of his speed. And everyone would have thought that Ali would have outpunched Joe Frazier. But I don't think Ali's head was properly in it. Because I mean, if you look at
there was a lot going on at that time. There was a lot going on politically and everything at that time. Yeah,
exactly. And not only politically, but in Ali's life. So yeah, politically, but with Ali's life, because even though he went to prison for 4 years, whatever, for not going to the army, or 3 years, whatever, and then when he came out of prison, it was still in his head. And even coming out of prison, and he changed his name to Muhammad Ali, and at that time, like racism and things were big, so people were like, oh, now you changed into Muslim. It was like a big race thing, like not only a religion thing. It wasn't really race, because I mean Ali Frazier were both African American fighters, but so it wasn't really a race thing. It was more of a religion thing, and I think Americans back then they didn't like people.
No, they didn't like anything that was like different. I mean, at that stage, everything was so structured. You know, boxing was boxing, and life was life, and they didn't know anything outside of what was going on at that stage. So I think it is all very new and very different to them. But Jade, listen, the bell is just gone right now, so we need to move on to the next topic. It's been really fun, obviously, speaking about Ali Frazier, all 3 bouts. It's a fantastic story. There's actually more than 15 minutes required for a conversation like that, but since that is our topic and our criteria, we have to move on to the next one, which will be Michael Conlon versus Lee Wood. I think it's a fantastic fight coming up in the following week. What's your take on this one? It's a big fight.
Yeah, look, this is a big fight. 2 brilliant fighters. They're 2 excellent fighters coming into this. Look, it's going to happen next Sunday. So next Sunday, I'm sure this video will probably be posted by then. We'll probably posted it sometime in the week, but it'll be on Sunday. So it'll be the coming Sunday from when this video gets posted. And basically, look, it is a big fight. It's a big fight for Conlon. It's a homecoming fight. I think they're fighting in Nottingham. They're fighting in the UK. So they're fighting down the road from me. Which is really great. I might actually try and see if I can get some tickets to go and watch the fight. But if I break down the fights and I break it down, I actually have Michael Conlon winning the fight by either a late stoppage or points, because Conlon is not known to be a big puncher. He does have a 50% knockout ratio, but he's not known for big punching. He's known more for his speed and his slick movement and things. But if you break down the fights, Michael Conlon has an amateur career of 102 fights, 82 wins, 20 losses. Then you look at Lee Wood's amateur record, and he's only got 7 fights, 3 wins, and 4 losses. Okay, so it's a big difference. Conlon's been to the Olympics. Conlon's been a medalist at the Olympics. You know, the big controversial decision in Russia, which forced him to turn pro earlier than he wanted to. But Lee Wood's got nothing in boxing. Nothing in amateur boxing. Let me not offend the man. He's got something.
But Jade, even as a professional, Lee Wood isn't as okay, he's the world champion, but even as a professional, his career record hasn't been like smooth. You know, he had a very difficult upcoming through the ranks. You know, his fight against Can Xu was really his best fight in his career.
Yeah, look, coming up, like when you look at the pro records, Conlon 16-0 with 8 knockouts, as I said, a 50% knockout ratio, and then you look at Lee Wood, he's got a 25-2 record with 15 knockouts. So Lee Wood is known to be, obviously, looks to be the bigger puncher. But if you look at Lee Wood's record, other than Can Xu, the only other name on his record is David Oliver Joyce.
And what about Jazza Dickens? He lost to James Dickens as well.
Yeah, so that's where I go to the next one. So James Dickens, but even James Dickens, he's not a big name. If you take that, like if you look at the record, so Lee Wood was undefeated. Then he goes and he fights for the British title against Gavin McDonnell. Sorry, he fights for the British title, gets his first loss. Okay, actually got stopped by Gavin McDonnell with a TKO. And sorry. Yeah, so he actually got stopped by Gavin McDonnell for the British title. Okay, then he moves on and he makes a good comeback and he has a good run of things. Then
to be fair, against journeyman though, like
yeah, definitely against journeyman and then he meets David Oliver Joyce, who is a real good boxer. Like I love Joyce, man. He's a really good boxer. I like his style. He's very slick. But Lee Wood goes and stops him in the 9th round. So that was a really, really good win for Lee Wood. But then that was for the EBU title against Joyce. Okay, so he wins that, and then his very next fights James Dickens to defend his title, and James Dickens beats him on majority decision. A lot of people felt that was controversial as well. A lot of people felt it was more one-sided than a majority decision. But nothing taken away from Lee Wood. He did fight well on the night. But again, there's no real big names on his record. Even like winning his world title, he won it against Can Xu. But look, again, Can Xu's not a really big name. Like, yeah, he has fought some really good fights and he's a really good boxer, but it's not a big name that you expect, you know. But like I said, Lee Wood, but nobody thought Lee Wood would win the fight though.
All right, here we go. I'll throw a curveball at you because obviously right now the way the conversation is going is that we leaning towards Michael Conlon in this fight. Sure. But here's a spanner in the works, right? Lee Wood becoming a world champion, taking on a world championship mentality, whereas Conlon's chasing that. Do you think that could make a difference?
It could make a difference, but Conlon's fought on the big stages with the Olympics, Commonwealth, things like that. So he's fought on big stages as an amateur. Coming into the pro, I think he fought his second fight for a title already. He's fighting for the WBA Intercontinental. So, and he's been the champion since. He hasn't lost as a pro. He got a signing bonus from amateur to pro of 1.5 million and I know you know this because we always talk about this, but he got a signing bonus of 1.5 million and he didn't even fight yet. So without fighting, you get 1.5 million. That's big money, man. And then, so there's got to be something special. Also, being a top-ranked fighter and this fight being on a top-ranked world, I don't think Bob Arum is that silly to put Conlon against somebody he doesn't believe Conlon would actually 110% beat.
Okay, so that's a fair point as well, because obviously home promoters, we've seen it everywhere. No matter who the home promoter is, they will be getting a little bit of favoritism. So you almost start up, but then you got the champion as well. So it kind of evens it out, you know, because usually the champion also gets a couple of rounds. We've seen that recently with a couple of world title fights. So in saying that, it's probably an open fight. So the best man on the night will probably be the deserving victor.
100%. Whoever comes with the best mentality on the night is probably going to be the person whose hand gets raised at the end of the fight. But again, like I say, if you look at Conlon's record he's got 102 amateur fights, Lee Wood's got 7. So just the amateur fights alone, Michael Conlon has more amateur fights than Lee Wood has amateur and pro together.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. It's an interesting point because Conlon's got the skill factor, doesn't he? You're right about that. Conlon's got the skill factor, he's got the experience factor. Sure. I watched him live in London as well at the York Hall when he fought Buluta as well. He's a good fighter. Buluta's a tough guy. Can Lee Wood be that same tough guy that makes it difficult for Conlon though?
Like I say, Lee Wood, he can be. But obviously, if you look at what Gavin McDonald exposed him when he stopped him, he doesn't have the best chin. So I do feel if Conlon can use his skill sets and his movements and his speed and things, I do feel, like I say, I do feel it could be a late stoppage or a unanimous points decision in the way of Conlon. I do see Conlon edging it by at least 2 or 3 rounds minimum. If not more. The way I've seen Conlon in previous fights, if he really turns up on the night, he could give Lee Wood a boxing lesson and take him to boxing school, and he'll probably win every single round if he turns up 100% focused and 100% in the zone on the night. He'll take Lee Wood to school. Okay,
now this might be a premature question, but should one of these guys win the fight? Well, one of them will win the fight, if not a draw. But whoever remains the champion, who's next for them? I mean, the featherweight division's hot at the moment. There's other unification fights. Emmanuel Navarrete, Leo Santa Cruz, and Mark Messiah.
Oh, well, that makes it even better because, so basically, like I say, if Michael Conlon wins this, I'd love to see him fight Leo Santa Cruz actually, because Leo Santa Cruz is really special. But having said that, I think it might be a bit too soon for Conlon.
What about this, right? We got a South African guy, Lorato Glamini. He's number 15 on BoxRec. I mean, he's coming up. He's number 1 in the BC. I mean, he's in a fight. He's in a fight for that really soon, potentially against Mark Messiah if he wins an eliminator. I mean, he's in that conversation in a couple of fights as well.
100%. Doesn't Glamini have the RBF title at the moment? So
I think he has the WBC silver.
So he's got WBC silver. So 100%, he's definitely coming up there. So Lorato Glamini is something special. I mean, if you're considering South African fighters, he is unreal. He did fight his first fight. I think he fought it at lightweights. Actually, he fought it against Mark Pronto Mokwena.
That was a mistake on his behalf. Yeah, to go up to lightweight and fight Michael Mokwena is dangerous.
100%. And he lost that fight. And the thing is, Michael was just really, he was just hitting the peak of his career at that point. So yeah, it was a mistake by Lorato. But what Lorato did that was clever was he went back down to where it suits him, and then also moved to Conlon. And Conlon has managed him amazingly. Conlon is probably one of the smartest boxing managers at the moment in South African boxing, because Colin chooses fights for his fighters that make sense. And I think that is what sets Colin above other promoters or other managers in South Africa. Also, he's got the likes of the MTK backing behind him right now, which is amazing. I think Colin is definitely a name that deserved to be there with MTK. So, having said that, taking that Colin is managing Lerato. Lerato has gone back down to featherweight, so he's in the same division as Michael Conlon and them. So I think if Lerato can win the WBC, because he's fighting an eliminator next, that's WBC eliminator.
Yeah, WBC, yeah.
So he fights for the WBC, he wins the WBC. Michael Conlon is definitely going to be looking at him.
Well, then there's going to be a lot of interest. Who's ever the WBC champion always gets a lot of recognition. So, exactly. That's one other thing. Okay, well, listen, we have had a bell. We're running out of time here. So I want to get like a last parting comment from you, and then I'll finish off.
Yeah. So parting comment regarding the Conlon Wood fight. So my parting comment from that would be I see Michael Conlon winning it on either a late stoppage or unanimous points decision.
All right, and I'm seeing it quite similar. In fact, I'm seeing it as a unanimous points decision. I don't know about the stoppage. I think Leigh Wood's a tough guy. I know he got stopped very early in his career, but he's come on a lot since then, a lot more experience he's gathered. So I'm going to go like that. I'm going to say, I'm going to play it safe, actually. I'm going to say a points decision. It'll be interesting to see what the people in the comments section also say, because they could totally see it differently, especially if they're watching from around the world. And there's some big Leigh Wood fans that we're going to get in trouble. But yeah, anyway, all good, all good. Thank you very much, Jade, for talking to us. As you say, you are flawless in your predictions. Let's see how this one goes.